What have you been up to? Did you allow yourself to unplug a little bit, kind of think back and reflect on that, or did you just jump right back into the fire?
You know, it's so crazy with the pandemic, Jim, and with the basketball, we have it so backwards. We should have if we were smart as coaches, and we would get the NCAA to give us an immediate month off, but, you know, we have to go immediately into recruiting. And the problem is when you're in the tournament and you keep winning, obviously it's the goal. But when you're one of the only 4 teams left, that means the other 340 are recruiting while you're getting ready for games and you're practicing. So you get behind the 8 ball a little bit. You feel like you got to play catch up. So a lot of phone calls, but at least I haven't had to jump on the plane and go recruiting as you normally would, Jim, at this time. So, yeah, we kind of have it backwards. We don't get a chance to get a break really until May in our sport.
I think that's right, actually, Mick Cronin. Not it's right that it's set up like that, but you're right in saying that because the farther you go, the less time you have, and then you're already behind, but the goal is to get as far as you can. See, one of the things, Mick, that really jumped out to me during the tournament was that you were very, very clear from the jump that this is not a team that was overachieving. This was not a team that was a Cinderella. This was not a team just happy to be in the Sweet 16 or even the Final Four because these are the expectations that come with being at UCLA. Why was that a message that was so important to get across to not only the players, but literally everybody watching?
And most of it was meant for our players. You know, we had to really reinvent ourselves as the season went on, losing Chris Smith and Jalen Hill. And we lost a few games late, Jim. But you know, you cover all sports for a long time, and so you understand. Like a team they give you signs that they're playing well, although they may lose a really tough game to a very good basketball team. And sometimes fans, you know, they only see the result. Where, you know, if you cover that team or you follow closely, and obviously you're the coach of that team, and you're seeing them every day, and you can feel the progress, and you think you're close. And my message was it was what it was because I just really believed in my heart if we got a really terrible break being put in the first 4 against, and then it's Michigan State, you know, Coach Izzo, Mr. March, 7 Final Fours, but I felt in my heart if we could get by that game that we were really starting to turn the corner as a basketball team and get to another level with no seniors and all the things we had to do to reinvent ourselves. I felt that we were close. And then the last part is, you know, you want to give your kids confidence because we do practice under 11 championship banners, and we are the UCLA Bruins. And, you know, we have expectations, and that's why kids choose UCLA. They choose UCLA because they want to play for championships. So, you know, I tried to make sure my guys knew that I believed in them.
UCLA head basketball coach Mick Cronin. Mick, I'm really fascinated by this notion of reinvention on every level. I know you're not going to say this, but let me say it myself. You had to face a number of challenges. You had one elite recruit go to the G League instead of college basketball. You lost Chris Smith for 1 month into the season. Jalen Hill stepped away from non-basketball reasons. Any one of these things could have derailed the entire season, but that didn't happen. If anything, it seemed to galvanize the group. And as you said, you had to go through a period of reinvention. What did that involve? What was the process? How were you able to reinvent with that plane 30,000 feet up in the air?
Well, you know, it's just from a strategic standpoint, we were a smaller team with those losses. So, you know, in basketball, if you're going to play small, you have to be able to spread the floor, and you have to be a very good offensive team. And, you know, and the numbers belied themselves. You know, we were, I think, at the end 10th or 11th. In offensive efficiency in the nation. So you got to use what you have, right? The art of war. You know, you're small, but yet you're quick. And in basketball, you can shoot the 3. And then we had to really work our way on how we were going to deal with that defensively. And that took some trial and error from myself, my coaching staff on, you know, when you're smaller, do you pack it in, play softer defensively, or do you get more aggressive? You know, as we got more aggressive, Jim, it helped our defense, and you know that's really what got much better in the NCAA tournament. You know, being able to hold a team like Alabama and Michigan. You know, Alabama when they hit the 3 only had 62 points, over 20 below their average. You know, we held Michigan to 49. So we definitely, it took us longer to get where we needed to get defensively. But that's the beauty, right, Jim, of college basketball. Unlike football, a couple of losses and you get no chance at the playoff. That's why college basketball is such a great sport, because you can be a completely different team in March than you were in November.
And then, of course, Mick, you did exactly what you want to do, and you can't always set it up like this. The hope is you're playing your best basketball when it matters most, and you were, and you gave Gonzaga absolutely everything they could handle, and then some. It was an all-time great game. When you look back on that, Mick, what are the types of moments that stick out to you the most?
Yeah, well, as a coach, man, you've interviewed enough of us where we beat ourselves up over
right.
the end. I haven't done it that much, though, because, at the end of regulation, we had the ball, and we had it in our best offensive player's hands, Johnny Juzang. So if you got the ball and you have it in his hands, I'm a believer your best thing to do is to not overcoach. You got the ball in his hands. He's not being trapped, and he's got time to get comfortable and try to make an offensive move to score. You're not going to draw anything up better than that. You may end up getting something a lot worse than that. You may not even get it in his hands if you call a timeout there. But obviously we didn't score, so I sit up thinking, man, I should have called the timeout, Jim. I should have called the timeout. So, but it was just like you said, it was such a great game, and I've watched it back, and the performances not only of our players but some of their players, but in particular our guys. It's just so proud of how they competed and how much better they got as the season went on. And it's exciting to think about next year.
Mick, I think about that. When I look back on this past year and I think about your team, they certainly did take on your personality. Like, they are really tough. They've got a ton of grit, a ton of toughness physically, a ton of toughness mentally. But even after Jalen Suggs made that miracle shot, Johnny Juzang got the guys together on the court and said, quote, "We're not going to let anybody have their heads down. Everybody is so proud to play with each other, to play for these coaches." It's one thing to buy in. It's one thing to commit and do the dirty work defensively and to get to the glass. But what's it say about the love and the bond that these guys had for one another, and how critical was that?
Well, that's the magic right there, Jim. Like you said it, Roman. I mean, that is the magic. And, in coaching, I've been doing it a long time. I grew up a son of a coach. I've been in locker rooms my entire life. When as a coach, when your team has captured the magic, like I was being honest with you now, we got to a point where it was just, I really was surprised we lost. Now, I know we were a 14-point underdog, which it was comical to our coaching staff. I mean, we were literally surprised we lost. Not that Gonzaga didn't have a great team. I mean, the Zags were awesome. It was just we had captured the magic, and the guys they were going to find a way to win, no matter what they had to do, no matter how many shots we had to make, no matter how many charges we had to take. They were just going to do it, and they because they had the love. Love is the most powerful thing, man. Those guys were on a mission. And like you said, you could tell that. I mean, they love playing with each other, and they captured it, man. And I got stupid, Jim, and I woke up the morning after we beat Michigan, and I answered my phone, and it's Bill Strauss and Eric Johnson and Dave Tenney and Dennis O'Neil, and we're buying this 2-year-old. You can name him. Well, immediately, I named him. I said okay because I was euphoric. Paid too much money and named him Bruin Magic.